Joining us now to talk about it and help put this into perspective is Robin Quinville. Robin, thank you so much for joining us, Director of the Global Europe Program at the Wilson Center. We appreciate you really being here for us tonight. You know, the next Prime Minister will be the 5th Conservative Prime Minister in just over 6 years and the 3rd within the parliamentary term. Any bets on who might succeed Truss? We heard Boris Johnson's name being thrown out there.
We did, and I think some of that has to do with the way that he left and the speech that he gave in Parliament. So your correspondent in London was very right. Thanks for asking me on, Julie. I think there are a couple of others that we might want to think about as also being in the race, and among them is the current Chancellor of the Exchequer, Jeremy Hunt, because he came in after Liz Truss sacked Kwasi Kwarteng. He did this screeching U-turn on policy, and so he may very well be a continuity figure, and perhaps the party will consider him too. And somebody else I'm not going to rule out is Ben Wallace, who's currently their defense secretary. He was just in Washington this week for consultations at the Pentagon. He's been in that office, and it's one of the major offices of state, for 3 years. So he may also be a viable candidate.
Well, Robin, let's talk about just what kind of challenges Truss faced and what she really needed to do to succeed in this role.
You know, this was always going to be the hard time, right? Because you're coming into a period, it's after the COVID pandemic, but a lot of money has been expended on the COVID pandemic. You're also looking at other challenges. And she had a program that really was designed to try to promote growth in the UK. And she did that with a program of tax cuts and incentives to prompt growth. However, when she offered that budget, her chancellor hadn't done the kind of consultations and analysis with the Office of Budget Responsibility that are usual. And when that hit, the markets reacted with the big question, how are we going to pay for this? And that's what caused the fall of the pound to the lowest level against the dollar. And that's what caused the mortgage rises that Keir Starmer was talking about. And so with that, it left a legacy of chaos in policy. And then, again, she did this U-turn.
Yeah, a lot of very unhappy people. Help us understand, was this the shortest stint as Prime Minister ever?
It looks like it. Yes, it is. And, you know, I'm sure that's not a record that she would have wanted to keep hold of. At the same time, I think that she recognized that there are only so many U-turns that you can do without it actually starting to truly block traffic. And that is what this appeared to be after the discussions yesterday. Also, last night, there was a vote on fracking that was chaotic and prompted a lot of dissension within the party. So I think that what we're seeing is her recognition that it's time to bring in a new leader, because what all of her party is thinking about is how do they set themselves up to win the next election, because that would come up in a couple of years, but they want to reclaim their mantra and their competence in government. So it's going to be a very hard road.
All right, we'll see how this turns out. Robin Quinville, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate your expertise tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Well, President Biden says he is not worried that the UK's economic spillover would affect the U.S. He also reacted today to Truss's resignation.
Look, she was a good partner on Russia and Ukraine, and